Dark web mysteries that will keep you awake. There's a corner of the internet, hidden from view, where anything can be bought, sold, or shared. A place where the darkest parts of human nature are set free. They call it the dark web. It's a section of the internet that search engines can't find, and you can only get there using special software designed to make you completely anonymous. Now that anonymity can be a good thing, a shield for activists and whistleblowers. But it's also a cloak for something much more sinister. It's become a breeding ground for chilling urban legends, multi-million-dollar criminal empires, and mysteries so disturbing, they blur the line between fact and horrifying fiction. These are the stories that crawl out from the shadows of the dark web, and they will keep you awake at night. Tonight, we're diving into the most chilling corners of this digital underworld. We'll look at the myths that haunt our collective imagination, and the all-too-real cases that sparked international police operations and ended in life sentences. What happens when human depravity is given a global, anonymous stage? The answers are more unsettling than you can possibly imagine. Section 1. The Legend of the Red Room. Let's start with what might be the most infamous legend of the dark web, the Red Room. The story is pure nightmare fuel. It's supposed to be a hidden, live-streamed event where viewers paying huge sums in crypto can watch the real-time torture and murder of another person. The sickest part of the legend is the interactivity, the idea that rich, anonymous viewers can not only watch but direct the violence, voting on what happens next. The concept is so vile, so completely depraved, that it has terrified and fascinated people for years. Endless rumors and creepypastas have described these sites in graphic detail, feeding a myth that plays on our deepest fears about the evil that hides in plain sight. For years, journalists and security experts have dug through the dark web, searching for any solid proof that red rooms are real. The consensus: there's no credible evidence that a real, interactive red room has ever existed. The biggest hurdle is technical. The Tor network, the main gateway to the dark web, is built for anonymity, not for speed. It bounces a user's connection through encrypted servers all over the world, which makes it incredibly slow. While some experts say a low-quality choppy stream might be technically possible now, it's still far too slow to support the kind of stable, high-quality video you'd need for a paying audience. It turns out that the vast majority of sites claiming to be red rooms are just elaborate scams. They're built to prey on morbid curiosity, tricking people into sending thousands in Bitcoin for a show that doesn't exist. Once the payment goes through, the site disappears, or the user is simply locked out. It's a cynical con, using a horrifying urban legend to make a quick buck. But this is where the story takes a much darker and much more realistic turn. Just because the interactive live stream is probably a myth, doesn't mean the dark web is free from unimaginable cruelty. The line between legend and reality was shattered by the discovery of a series of videos known as Daisy's Destruction. These weren't live-streamed, but they were pre-recorded, produced, and sold on the dark web for profit. The man behind them, an Australian named Peter Scully, was arrested in the Philippines in 2015. He was the ringleader of a horrific child exploitation enterprise, creating videos that depicted the most brutal abuse imaginable. The case of Peter Scully is horrifying proof that the demand was real. While Tor's technical limits might prevent live interactive murder, the dark web absolutely provided the platform for the creation and sale of real, monstrous violence. The Supreme Court of the Philippines convicted Scully, sentencing him to life in prison, though he has faced additional charges and convictions since. So, are red rooms real? The live-streamed interactive version is almost certainly a ghost story, but the willingness of people to create, sell, and buy content of unimaginable cruelty is not. The dark web gave these impulses a marketplace. The legend of the Red Room might not be literally true, but the reality it points to, that there's a dark corner of the internet where the worst of humanity can be bought and sold, is a chilling and undeniable fact. It really makes you wonder, what's the difference between someone who consumes the myth and someone who would consume the reality? Section 2. The Billionaire's Betrayal. The Wall Street Market Exit Scam. Not all dark web mysteries are about legends and violence. Some are about cold, hard cash and the kind of backstabbing that can only happen in a world built on anonymity. This next story is about the rise and incredible collapse of the Wall Street market, one of the biggest darknet marketplaces to pop up after the fall of the infamous Silk Road. For a while, it was the second largest illegal market in the world, a digital superstore for anything and everything illicit. Wall Street Market, or WSM, was a slick operation. It boasted over 1.15 million customer accounts and 5,400 vendors selling drugs, malware, stolen credit cards, and fake IDs. All transactions were done in cryptocurrency to keep everyone anonymous, and the site's admins took a 2% to 6% cut of every sale. To its users, a global network of criminals, it was a trusted and stable platform. They thought the admins had built them a safe harbor. They were dead wrong. In April 2019, things started to get weird. Users started reporting that their money, held in the site's escrow wallets, was vanishing. Vendors who'd made sales suddenly weren't getting paid. The admins posted messages blaming technical issues and promising a fix was coming. A classic move right before a darknet market disappears. But behind the curtain, a massive heist was underway. The admins had started what's known as an exit scam. They were systematically draining the market's accounts, which held the crypto for every pending sale. Instead of the money going to the sellers, it was being funneled straight into the admins' private wallets. Panic spread. Then it got even stranger. One of the site's moderators, maybe having a crisis of conscience or maybe just double-crossed himself, started blackmailing users. He threatened to leak their personal information to the police unless they paid him off. A few days later, that same moderator apparently leaked the market's server IP address and login details, basically telling the world where to find it. All that chaos was just a smokescreen for the final act. In just a couple of weeks, the admins stole an estimated $11 to $14.2 million in cryptocurrency from their own users. They had built a criminal empire, earned the trust of thousands of other criminals, and then right at the top, they pulled the rug out and ran with the money. But they didn't get far. What the admins didn't know was that law enforcement from Germany, the Netherlands, and the US had been watching them for almost 2 years. While the exit scam was happening, the police were already closing in. The admins' greed and the chaos they created probably just sped up their own doom. In late April and early May 2019, German police, with help from Europol and US agencies, raided several locations. They arrested 3 German men who were allegedly running the whole show. During the raids, they seized cash, crypto, luxury cars, and the computer servers that ran the market. The great dark web heist was over. The Wall Street market case is a classic dark web tale. It's a story of a hidden multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise and a stunning betrayal. It shows you how unstable a world without rules or trust really is, even in a marketplace built by criminals. For criminals, there's no honor. In the end, the biggest threat to the users wasn't the police, but the very people who created the platform they trusted with their money. Section 3. The Hitman Marketplace that wasn't. What if you could order a murder as easily as you order a pizza? That's the terrifying idea behind another persistent dark web legend, the Hitman for Hire website. And for years, one name was at the center of this grim fantasy: Besa Mafia. Besa Mafia presented itself as a professional network of contract killers. Its website was chillingly direct. For a price, usually between $5,000 and $20,000 in Bitcoin, you could submit a target's name and details about how you wanted the job done. The site claimed to be run by Albanian mobsters and even offered customer service, like a twisted version of Amazon, to assure clients they wouldn't be ripped off. The orders that came in were a horrifying glimpse into human nature. Husbands ordered hits on their wives. Business partners tried to eliminate their competition. In one case, a woman named Christy Lynn Felkins paid $5,000 in Bitcoin to have her ex-husband killed, providing his address, his travel schedule, and even the Starbucks he frequented. The intent was deadly serious. These weren't just angry rants. They were funded, calculated plots to end people's lives. But this is where the mystery gets complicated. Security researchers and journalists who looked into Besa Mafia found something startling. The whole thing was a giant, elaborate scam. There were no hitmen. No murders were ever carried out. The site's admin, an individual widely reported to be a Romanian man known as Yura, though his identity is not officially confirmed, was just collecting the Bitcoin payments and ghosting the customers. When one security analyst, Chris Montero, exposed the site as a fraud, Yura himself reportedly vandalized the post, insisting that Besa Mafia was the one real hitman site out there. He was so committed to the lie that he actively fought to protect his brand's deadly reputation. The site was a fraud, but the danger was very real. In 2016, Montero managed to hack into Besa Mafia's back end. He found a full list of every hit that had been ordered, complete with the names and details of the intended victims. He immediately started feeding the information to law enforcement agencies all over the world, likely saving dozens of lives. The case of Amy Allwine is a tragic example of how the fantasy of Besa Mafia crashed into real-world violence. A hit was ordered on her through the site, and the FBI was tipped off. They visited Amy and her husband, Stephen, to warn them. What the agents didn't know was that Stephen Allwine was the one who had tried to hire the killer. When the online hitman never showed up, because Besa Mafia was a scam, he decided to do it himself. Stephen Allwine was later convicted of murdering his wife and trying to make it look like a suicide. So, while Besa Mafia itself never killed anyone, it gave people a place to act on their murderous impulses. It created a kill list of real people targeted by customers who were ready and willing to pay to see them hurt. And when the scam didn't work, at least one of those customers was driven to commit the murder himself. In 2022, Romanian authorities finally arrested 5 men believed to be behind the long-running scam. The case of Besa Mafia is one of the strangest mysteries from the dark web. It was a lie built on a terrifying truth, that plenty of people would gladly pay to have someone killed. The site was a scam, but its customers weren't. It leaves you with a haunting question. Which is more terrifying? A world where you can hire a killer online, or a world where so many people are trying to? The shadows of the internet are vast and deep. The stories of the Red Room, Wall Street Market, and Besa Mafia are just a few of the mysteries that have crawled out of its depths. They show us a world where legends are born from our worst fears, where trust is a fatal flaw, and where the darkest human desires find a home. And while many tales are just hoaxes, the real crimes they inspire are a stark reminder of the dangers that grow in the dark. The constant battle between law enforcement and these hidden networks shows that the darkness isn't impenetrable, but it's a fight that never seems to end. It makes you wonder what other stories are still lurking in those unlisted corners of the web, waiting to be found. What new legends are being written in code, and what real-world nightmares will they unleash? The dark web remains one of the last great terrifying frontiers of our time. If you want to keep exploring the internet's most compelling and disturbing mysteries, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments, which of these stories got under your skin the most? Thanks for watching, stay safe, and try to get some sleep.